Hey there, I'm Mike Dunn with Gaming Trend, and we're here at GAMA Expo 2023. And Adam from Army Painter is going to show us some of the awesome paints that they have available right now.
Totally awesome paints.
Let's get started, Adam.
Well, when you invited me here, you said I'd really like to talk about air paints.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I love air paints. This is a very fun project that we got to work on. So, airbrushing for a lot of beginner painters and a lot of new painters, it can be a little bit daunting, right? How much do I thin my paints? How do I clean them? What colors do I use, right? Those are the initial hurdles that a lot of people, when they get into airbrushing, they get quickly out of airbrushing because they don't overcome that. So our approach to this was to try and make the most user-friendly airbrush paint range in the industry. So to start, they're airbrush ready right from the bottle, okay? As far as I'm concerned, I think we're the first to really make a truly airbrush ready paint that you could use without thinning out of the bottle. It uses our proprietary airbrush medium. It's smooth. It has a nice flow improver. Doesn't dry out on the needle tip. And it doesn't need to be thinned unless you want it to, right? You could still thin it more if you'd like. So that's step one, right? Mission accomplished. The other thing is color selection, right? So a lot of people start out and they paint a model blue. And they say, well, I'm going to highlight this by adding in white. Well, that just makes everything very pale and pastel-y, right? And you can do that if that's what you're going for. But that's not the case with every.
You're painting like My Little Pony miniatures, right?
Hey, and I love, yes, why not? I've got young kids. I got a daughter.
Exactly.
I hate ponies, right? But that's not what you want to do all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
And you're not going to get those cutie marks on there that way either.
It's correct. So we developed them in a triad system. Okay, not the first to make triads, but we were the first to do it in an airbrush paint, where it makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
Because when you paint miniatures with an airbrush, especially one painting a consistent color, yellow, for example, we brought this here. You work up from a darker shade up to a brighter one from a zenith, from up top, from a light source, right? So the darker colors are going to be in the shadow, and the brighter colors are going to be on top. They're going to sit on top of the highest points of that miniature. So these paints are designed to do that just like that. So right here, this is the way that the system works out. We've got our demonic yellow triad, right? That name might sound familiar with anybody out there who's used our paints before, right? I'll get to that in a second. So this is going to be your mid color, okay? It starts with your base color right here, which is incursion orange, and your highlight color, which is imp yellow, okay? It says it right on the bottles, as you can see right there. So I can't see. Oh, this way, up here? Up higher? So as you can see right here, it says imp yellow, demonic yellow, and incursion orange right on the label, so you always know. This one says that it's a high tone, right? Mid-tone, base tone, right? Okay. Another cool fact and fun fact about the air range and the rest of the product range at the Army Painter is we have a 100% color match theory, okay? So our Warpaint Demonic Yellow is going to be a color match to Warpaint Air Demonic Yellow, which is a color match to Color Primer Demonic Yellow. So now if you're painting an army or something like that, you know, sometimes you might want to use a spray can for tanks, for example, and an airbrush for certain miniatures. You can go back and correct mistakes with the Warpaint range. It's quite clever and it's very user-friendly. Customers love it.
No, that's great. That's great. Like that's like one of the biggest problems, right? Is color matching, especially if you're going from air to brush to can, right? Yeah, that's fantastic.
It makes it super easy, and especially, I mean, we all paint outside the lines every now and then, right? So tidying up those mistakes, it makes it super simple.
Yeah, and I love the triads concept because personally I'm a fairly beginner airbrush.
You have to start somewhere.
Right. Mostly I've used it for priming. Yep. Or like zenithal.
Right. Undercoats,
that sort of thing. I haven't mustered up the courage to like really get in there and do a bunch of different things and details. And this paint line like kind of takes a lot of the guesswork out of that.
That's exactly right.
And I've been really eager to give it a shot. So I'm super excited about it.
Awesome. Well, I will definitely get you set up with some airbrush paints. Just send me an email.
Awesome.
We'd love for you to try them.
Yeah. And I have tried the Speedpaints though. The Speedpaints are fantastic.
Yes. Fun. There's big news on Speedpaint.
Yeah. So tell us about that.
Unless you've been living under a rock, we've just revamped Speedpaint. So Speedpaint 2.0. We launched Speedpaint a little over a year ago last year. Our most successful launch to date. Speedpaint is a one-coat paint solution. So it's meant to be applied over a white base coat. In some cases, some people use a zenithal base coat, or slap chop is the new. That's what the kids are saying nowadays.
What the kids are saying.
Base coat. But it's really great because it's a semi-transparent paint that achieves a shade a base color, and even a highlight on like the most raised and detailed edges. Makes painting super easy, super satisfying because you're just painting inside the lines, right? So it's great for beginner painters like yourself,
Right.
or painters that are pressed for time, just trying to get those models finished for their next game, right? Or their next.
Let me clarify something.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily a beginner painter. I'm just a beginner
Airbrush.
Yeah.
My bad. My bad. Well, the thing is, speed paints are great because
Right.
you don't have to be a beginner to use them.
Yeah, no,
all the time for all different purposes.
I actually I love the speed paints. I tried out the contrast paints when
Yep.
they came out.
Right.
Your distinguished competitor.
Not a competitor. They're very similar, but also very different paint
This
ranges.
is true. This
Yeah.
is true. And I've also even tried there's another brand. Totally blanking on it. They called them Magic paint.
I don't know.
Not important.
Not
Not
sure.
important.
Yeah.
Tried a bunch of them out.
Yeah, okay.
Right. Because it seemed like everybody was coming out
Yeah.
with the same kind of concept of paints.
Correct.
And I got to say, the Army Painter paints really kind of stood out. Not only in terms of the color range and the way it hugged the miniatures,
Yeah.
but also in terms of price point. Like that's a big deal, right? Like
we are gamers,
Yeah.
right? And that's why we're called the Army Painter, right? We paint
Right.
armies, but we also play D&D and we play all kinds of games. We love miniature games. We love painting miniatures, right?
right,
So we like to spend our money on more miniatures.
exactly.
So we like to keep our paints priced as affordably as we can, right?
Yep.
It's an ethos, it's a value that we have, and something we hold very dear in our company, right? Make it the best possible quality that we can at the best possible prices. But speed paint is changing a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? So initially when we launched it was 23 colors and a medium.
Mhm.
As soon as we launched it, customers, retailers were like, when are more coming? We want more.
Right.
Well, let's see. Let's just get this out there first.
Yeah.
Speed Paint was the biggest release that we've ever had in the history of our company. And we decided we're going to add to the range. So we've added 66 colors, but we did it in a unique way. Okay. We did it with the help of what we call the paint development team. So some popular YouTube stars out there that you might know, like Dana Howe, Brent Amberger from Goobertown Hobbies, and Watch It Paint It. We invited them to be on board as representatives of the hobby community. It'd be very difficult to work with all of the fantastic hobbyists out there and get all of their input.
Right.
Oh, I should mention, if you have any input or feedback, or would like to see something, email feedback@thearmypainter.com. We do actually read those emails, and we take notes of everything.
Fantastic.
So one of the number one most requested thing for Speed Paint, they wanted more colors. Number two most requested thing for Speed Paint, they wanted a larger Speed Paint medium bottle. Number three, what they wanted is that they wanted to be able to paint over it easier. So these paints exist on a razor's edge. You reduce the amount of medium and increase the pigment. Okay. And what can happen is sometimes that pigment, especially with the weaker pigments, not all pigments are created equal, right? We know yellows, reds, oranges, greens, they need a little help, right?
Oh, yeah.
So they need a little more pigment. So when you're reducing the resin in that paint and increasing the pigment count, what can happen is sometimes the pigments can dry on top of the resin, not inside.
Oh wow. Okay.
So if they haven't settled completely, what could happen is they could bleed through over very watered down paints or bright paints like white. Okay. It's something that some painters out there and hobbyists found creative uses for. Some people didn't see it as an issue because it's almost behaved like water-based paints. But we saw an opportunity, because we're going to add to the range, to revisit it. And let's see if we can make Speed Paint do more. Because that was the third thing on the list from Feedback Gap, is they wanted to be able to use it as a base coat too, a fast base coat that they can highlight on top of. So we revisited the formula with the help of the paint development team. And now we have a faster drying formula. We say that it has a 2-hour window of workability for those that want to blend by mixing in some of the Speed Paint medium that's now available in a much bigger 100 milliliter bottle.
Nice.
So you could still blend it and you can still use it almost like that watercolor type miniature paint that some people were.
Yeah.
But it sets sooner. In some cases, as soon as 10 minutes, I'm able to highlight on top. And you can go and use it as that base coat to start highlighting. So
That's actually how I was using the speed paint.
Yeah.
It was in that kind of watercolor style.
Yeah.
Because I used to do watercolors a long time ago.
Right.
And I was like, oh, this is very similar,
Yeah.
but it's on a 3-dimensional surface.
Exactly.
And so I just went kind of ham with it. And
it's such a fun product.
Yeah.
It's and you know, you mentioned contrast. They were the first to bring it to market.
right.
They're fantastic paints. They really are. We saw an opportunity to take a little spin on it, make more consistent.
Yeah.
One thing, if you use contrast paints or any of the other
Very
one-coat paints,
inconsistent.
they're just different.
Yeah.
Right? They have different features. We saw an opportunity to develop a paint that was very consistent from soup to nuts, as an old college professor used to say, from
Right.
beginning to end.
Right.
So the way that we went about doing that is making sure that the flow and the brush feel was similar across the range, right? And it's very difficult when you go and you get a paint and you dip your brush in it and it feels like gel. But the next one next to it from the same range is very watery.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make the brush feel as consistent as possible. We wanted to make sure that they all ran in a similar fashion on the model over the recesses and into the recesses. And we also wanted the saturation and coverage to be as consistent as possible. Well, one thing that you'll note with speed paint is that it has a nice smooth stainless finish. You have less of the tide marks and coffee staining that you may get from similar style paints.
Right. Oh, that, yeah.
I brought some for you to play with.
Oh, awesome.
Okay.
Actually, I wanted to, how, like, in terms of difference between version 1 of the speed paint and version 2, like, is it a big change? Is it a little change?
Our goal,
Are they compatible with each other?
1,000%.
Okay, all right, that's the big part, right?
1,000%. I mean, just like any other paints are compatible with each other, right? So we have 23 carryover colors, and the colors are almost identical, and the performance is almost identical. The only difference is that they will cure a bit faster so that you can paint on top.
Excellent.
And that was important. So all those paints have the same names and everything like that.
And that's totally on brand because speed paint.
Speed.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's one of the things that some people give us flack for. It's like speed paint, but it takes forever to dry. It's like, yeah, but it's a one coat paint solution. So all of the new paints, except for the first 1,500 box sets of the Mega Paint set, feature the 2.0 moniker on it right here. And that's what they call practical naming convention. That's something that Brent from Goobertown Hobbies actually helped us out with. He does not like having these fun, creative names for paints. We live to play in sci-fi and fantasy world, so that's something that we're never going to change.
Right.
It's honestly one of the best parts of my job is I get to help come up with the paint names. I love it, right? It's so much fun. I always said when I was a kid, one of the coolest jobs that you can have would be the person that names the Crayola crayon colors, right? And I kind of grow up to be able to do that a little bit, and I love that. But
nice.
excuse me, the practical naming convention, what you'll notice with these highly, highly richly pigmented paints, with the red, it's pretty evident what is in there. It's a red paint. But with some of the ochres and greens and browns and tans, they look very similar, right?
Right.
You can't quite tell what it is. And the hex helps, but sometimes doesn't. We'll get to that one in a second.
Okay.
I'm excited to see what you think of this.
Whoa.
So this is Carmine Dragon. It is a brilliant pinkish red, okay? We're following an international color coding system. So that should be the same all over the place. Believe it or not, I get feedback at least once a week from a hobbyist out there that says, I'm colorblind, red, blue, I need help. What's a good complement color for this? Or what color should I use to highlight with this? This goes a long way to helping them out.
Yeah.
So I'd love for you to try that.
Okay.
And I'm just going to give this a shake, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this while you play around. Okay?
All right.
We are also the first, and in the Speedpaint 2.0 release, to offer a one-coat metallic paint. And you may be asking, like, how does that work, Adam? Well, it works a little bit differently than regular speed paint because you're using mica flake, right? And mica behaves differently than true pigments.
Right.
Okay? So we call our metallic speed paints a 2-in-1 paint alloy, right? Because it's deep pigment and mica flake. It behaves a little bit differently. And what you're going to notice here with the poppy red is as you apply it and really load up that brush, get a lot of paint on it.
Should I get some water on it? Or
no, you don't need water. Okay. I mean, you can, but you don't need to water it down. Get more paint on it.
All right,
Get it in there. Get it in there. You want to load up those bristles.
Okay.
And you can use it thin down, and it's going to apply a nice, smooth, almost like a filter effect. But if you really want to get the shading and the highlights over top, you want to apply it in a pretty thick layer. Now you see how you're applying that over top. The deeper red works its way into the recesses there, the robes.
Yeah.
I love this color. It's a nice, almost blue shade red.
Very. And then let me get a little water.
Yeah, here I even brought you some napkins.
Okay. Oh, shot. Let's do a little water. And let's go a little.
There you go.
Little thin action here.
So what I really like about Speedpaint 2, I feel like they work a little bit better as glazes.
Okay.
I've been using them a lot as glazes in some of the stuff that I'm doing, and I found a really cool way to use it as almost a textured effect. I sponge it onto tanks to really build up that dirt and grime and give it that textured, weathered effect, almost like oil stains. It looks really cool. There's the potential with these paints is pretty much endless.
Right. Okay. So that is really nice and deep.
That I see on that the raised edges is already starting to dry.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. No kidding. Wow. That is very fun.
It'll stay pretty fluid in the recesses for a few minutes. It is pretty dry. We are in a casino in the high desert, so it probably will dry up pretty quick from all the dry air. In a more human
yeah.
environment, it might have more workability for a little bit longer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I live in Colorado, so it's
Yeah, you're used to it then.
Yeah, yeah.
See, I live in New Orleans, Louisiana. It's
Oh yeah, I used to live in
Yeah.
I used to live in Houston, so
there you go.
I'm right there with you. It's like
I'm gonna put some of this
Yeah.
Ford bronze. You actually,
I used to say it's like living inside of a dog's mouth.
you might be the first person
Oh, let me.
live on television to use Ford bronze.
Oh my goodness! All
So
right, I'm gonna give this a shot.
I'm excited to see what you think. So this might be the most polarizing release we've ever had as the Speedpaint Metallics. And I
Ooh,
get
wow.
it. They're different. There's nothing quite like it that exists out there. Some painters, they use it. They said, oh, it's cool. But I don't know if I'd trade in the way that I normally paint metallics.
Right?
Other people that have used it are like, I'm never using another metallic. So you will get some of that deeper recessed shading with this. But what I love about the Speedpaint Metallics, this is where they really become speedy, is they cover so well. I should have brought a black prime miniature. You can almost get one coat coverage over black prime miniatures.
That's
with this.
amazing.
It really is.
Wow.
I'm a accomplished painter, I would consider myself, not trying to toot my own horn, but I've never enjoyed painting metallics in the traditional methods. I found it to be tedious and annoying. I just wasn't good at it, right? It's not something I could lean into. After playing with the Speedpaint Metallics, I've learned to really, really enjoy painting metallics.
Wow. Holy cow! This is really nice.
And if you really want to punch it up, at the end, you could put a gloss coat over top, and it's going to make that metal flake shine. Lesson for anybody at home. The reason why metallic paints look metallic is because there's an element in gloss in there that aids in the reflectiveness of
Right.
mica flake.
That makes sense.
So if you want to make your metallics even more shiny, go ahead and apply a light gloss coat.
That is nice.
It does look really nice.
Wow.
I haven't seen this since the test studio, so it's impressive. It's such a rich color. I like it.
I've gotten so used to doing like non-metallic
Yep.
metallics
Yep.
that I kind of miss the ease of using metallics. And the it's just NMM can be so hit or miss sometimes.
Yep. I'm in the same way.
This like I feel like you could work with this, and it's not just a bloopy metallic
Right.
layer on there. Like this has value. It has a lot of depth.
Which camp are you in? Are you in the I'll stick to my standard ways, or are you leaning more towards you probably work this into your retinue?
I want to give this a shot. This
All right, go ahead. Awesome.
is great.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah. No, this is the most interesting metallic. And your metallics have always been
Our metallics are very good.
best. The probably the best metallics I've
I'm
seen.
just a bad metallic painter.
Yeah.
It's just the honest to God's truth.
Agreed. I just I come from a more painterly background, so
Right.
I was like, oh, I want to do an on because
What I really like,
this looks super cool, and I'm already getting ideas of how I could like even like layer on top of it.
so that's actually I was going to get to that. I don't do commission painting anymore, but a friend came to me with an opportunity I couldn't pass up. He's painting a House Orlock Knight Army, Imperial Knight Army, right?
Uh-huh.
And he wanted me to paint. He's painting the Loyalists and asked me to paint the traitor half of it. How could I pass that up?
Right.
So one of the things that I'm playing around with on his knights, I'm using them as test gophers, right?
Right.
Is I've used the metallic speed paints on some of the broader metallic areas,
Uh-huh.
and then I go back with the standard colored speed paints and layer that on to add depth and also create some interesting textural elements because it is a glossier paint, the metallic speed paints.
Right.
And then adding the other speed paints on top, add it,
Oh.
make it a little bit more matte and darken it down. It's a really interesting effect.
So I just wanted to see. I went over on the thin part,
Yeah.
the thin red, and with another thin coat to just kind of even it out.
It almost
And
looks
then-
like you put it like a light coat of pink on top.
Yeah. And then like this is dry. This side.
Now it might be dry to the touch, but those pigments they take a
So,
little while
got
longer.
it.
So I would recommend if you plan on adding another, if you put a thick layer on like that, just give it 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
We say 2-hour window of workability. So depending again on the environment, you might be able to dig up some of those recesses and get them to move around.
But I
the-
really like the deepness of the red
Yeah.
there. That's a nice red.
It really is.
Nice.
Wow. There's a lot of red options in the range now. Everything from a deep dark murder scene red, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like a brick red, Then we still have our pure, our blood red, which is a nice vibrant.
Oh yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of great red options in this range. Some great magentas, pinks, purples as well.
nice,
Really, really excited about this release.
fantastic.
Yeah, you'll have to come by. We have the whole new rack, the retail display over there. It's got all 90 colors. It's beautiful.
Excellent. And 2.0 is available now.
So this set, the Mega Set 2.0, is actually hitting pre-order customers in retail stores this week.
Okay.
So we're already starting to see it in the wild. The rack will be in stores June 10th-ish is what we expect.
Okay.
All right, and the rest of the range will be available around then as well.
And what's the MSRP on this?
Shoot, I can't even think off the top of my head at the moment. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's been a long day.
How many bottles is that?
That's 50 colors in
50
that set.
colors. That's a nice set.
We will have our standard 10-piece starter set. The old Mega Set was 24 pieces, right?
Right.
That's going to be called the most wanted set now. All right. So we have a nice price point option in there. And then, of course, we have the Speedpaint Mega Set. We have the metallic set. And there is the complete set for the lunatics that want to have all 90 paints at once. And, by lunatics, I mean awesome people.
Yes.
I couldn't do it.
Not lunatics is a pejorative.
Yeah.
Lunatics is a compliment.
It is.
Yes.
A fanatic.
Yeah.
I should say, a paint fanatic.
And now for the air set, this is definitely available.
It's available in stores. That's going to be your good starter set. It's got a metallic in there, primary, some neutral colors, and a large bottle of matte gray airbrush primer.
Excellent. And what's the MSRP on that?
Can't think of it off the top of my head. Can't think numbers in my head. I was up late last night. You get me thinking numbers. I've been talking about rack pricing all day. So I apologize.
This metallic
Go to www.thearmypainter.com if you want to look up the pricing. I apologize, my friends.
We'll put it in the notes. And the metallic, is this part of this set, or is this something that's
This
coming
one, that will be in the complete set, in the complete range. There are 3 metallics in this set. You've got your Hoplite Gold, Talos Bronze, and Broadsword Silver.
Awesome.
So you will get the 3 metallics in there. Another interesting thing about this, compared to all the other one-coat ranges, we have more skin tones than at any other range. So we have a very diverse inclusion of skin tones.
Nice.
Everything from paler skin tones to darker skin tones, which is really cool.
Very nice. Well, this is fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued by the metallics. Definitely want to get my hands on the air paints. But it seems like the perfect thing to break in my new Angel Heraldez.
It's a great brush.
Harder and Steenbeck.
I just got my Kiev brush. After I got the purple and pink one, and it is absolutely beautiful. It's got gold on the end. It's
nice.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Nice. Well, fantastic. This is great. Thanks a lot.
Of course. Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. If you have any other questions, just let me know.
You bet.
Send me an email. I'll get you some sets. Okay.
I will.
Just got to promise to review it on camera.
Yeah. No. We will definitely get some reviews of some of your paints. So
Great. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thanks for watching.